Hello and welcome to Doak Campbell Stadium, where Florida State is taking on Charlotte in today's game. It is an all-important game because it is Florida State's last non-conference game before they have 7 straight games against SEC opponents to close out this year. So today is going to be one of their last chances to stake their claim as to what kind of team they're going to be going into these SEC games. Florida State should have the talent advantage in today's game. Charlotte has some nice pieces that should be able to compete with Florida State in some areas, but overall, the talent advantage that Florida State has should be able to propel them against a roster like this, and hopefully lead to not only an easy victory, but a victory that gives them confidence heading into this last stretch of the season. You never want to put too much pressure on one single game, but even against an opponent that you should be able to overmatch from a talent perspective, Florida State needs to come out and look good. They are about to go on a stretch of 7 consecutive games against teams that are going to be out for blood, and Florida State is one of the teams in this conference with a target on its back, and a team that still has a chance to be relevant in the national picture. Doak Campbell Stadium is rocking, and they are ready for action. So let's get ready to go, and Charlotte is going to start today's game with the ball, and it's 1st and 10 for the 49ers, and they are ready to see if they can play spoiler. And this is going to be a drop back for Jones, who moves through the pocket and is able to navigate his way for 11 yards and for a first down, and brings up a pistol look for the 49ers now for their first down. Play action look, throws the opposite direction and finds White, and that's going to be Ike White for 20 yards on a nice rollout as he scrolled out to his left on a very unnatural looking throw, but still got the job done, and they're over the 50. Now it's a shotgun handoff to Bird. He flies through the secondary. He's got 15 yards. And that's been some big chunk plays so far for the 49ers, and they are off to a good start. Slight adjustment for the 49ers. Gets the ball off before he's hit, and he finds Jack Hystera for 10 yards. And that is 4 plays and 4 first downs for the 49er offense. Snap to Jones, finds Hystera again, but it is knocked away by Renardo Green, and this is now a 2nd and 10 for the 49er offense. 2-back look for the offense in the shotgun. Tries to hand it off to Bird, trying to look to the outside a little bit, cuts back in and only gets 1 yard. 3rd and 9, big spot for Florida State to try and get a stop, maybe force a field goal at this point. Jones finds his man Clemens, but he is met before the first down mark, and it will be a 4th and 4 and leads to a Charlotte field goal. And they go up 3-0 early on, so not the best start for the Florida State defense, but they don't give up a touchdown, so something to be taken away from this. Shotgun snap to Travis, hands off to Benson for a yard, who had a really nice game last week and seemed to be getting back on track, and let's see if they can keep him involved in this offense. Here's the snap to Travis. He rolls out to the right, and he fires to the sideline, and Winston Wright gets a toe down, and that's 15 yards for the offense, and Florida State has a first down. Florida State still in the shotgun, gets the snap, gets it off quickly to Destin Hill on a tunnel screen, and he almost has first down yardage, but that'll be 8 yards, and Travis starts off 2 for 2. 2nd and 2, run up the middle to Benson, and not a ton of room early on, but there is 4 yards and a first down, and Florida State finds themselves over midfield, just like Charlotte did on their first drive. This is a pistol look now for Travis in the offense. Fakes the handoff to Toafili, and he cuts up the middle of the field. He'll find 7 yards, and that'll bring up a nice favorable 2nd and 3 for the Florida State offense. Handoff to Toafili, looking for room to the outside, but not a lot there. And Charlotte will bring up their first 3rd down on defense, 3rd and 1. Let's see if Florida State can power their way to a first down from this look. Hands it off to Benson, and he will get just enough yardage out of that one. And Florida State seems to be rolling here, kind of pushing around Charlotte at this point. Play action look, trying to find his man, and he overshoots Jaheim Bell on that one. Don't know if that's due to the elements or what the look was there, but that was just not a great action from Travis. But this time, doesn't even get the ball to his receiver, Keon Coleman, and now we have a 3rd and 10. Travis scanning and way overshoots his man Kyle Morlock, so 3 really ugly throws that now bring up a field goal attempt for Florida State in these really mucky conditions. And now the kick is up, and it is not going to have the leg as Ryan Fitzgerald misses from about 47 yards out and hands this ball over to Charlotte. Jones looking now, and he throws a beauty of a ball to one of his favorite targets, Jack Hystera, the top receiver on this team, and Charlotte is moving again on a 1st and 10. Shadrick Bird working his way through the middle of the field, and that'll be 2 yards and a 2nd and 8. This 2-back look again for Charlotte. This time the handoff goes to Kelman. He looks a little speedy and is able to break through a tackle and finds 15 yards and quite a few chunk plays for Charlotte. Has to be worrying for Florida State with this defense that has definitely been up and down as the early part of the season has gone on. Another look for Jones, and that pass hung up there in Fentrell Cypress. If you're going to be one of the better DBs in the country, you got to come down to the big play like that. Now Jones finds Walters over the middle, and that's 8 yards and 3rd and 2. A weak spot of this Florida State defense has been their zone defense over the middle of the field that has given up a lot of yards, and that can't continue today if they want to win. This time a handoff to Robinson, and he'll have first down yardage. Two-back look again for Charlotte at this point. They're going to fake the handoff at a play action, and he dumps it off to Bird, and Bird will have 2 yards. So Florida State seems to be surrounding the ball a little bit better, getting a little bit better reads, but they've already given up enough yardage where Charlotte is threatening again. An overthrow on 2nd down brings up a 3rd and 8 from the pistol. Jones scans and looks and finds his man Bradley, but he just seems to drop the ball and has no chance at that. Now Charlotte's going to attempt a longer field goal here. That'll be about 43 yards on 4th and 8. Charlotte looking to go up 6-0. The kick is up, and it's going to drift to the right, and they will not extend this lead, and the Florida State offense is back to work. Travis on the snap, throws to the middle of the field near Hakeem Williams, but that ball does not get near anybody really, and a non-threatening ball hits grass, and it's 2nd and 10. Then 5 yards for Troy Brinson brings up a 3rd and 5 for the Florida State offense now. Looking for something, and he finds Jaheim Bell, but he purely drops that one. And now after 2 straight completions, Travis has 5 straight incompletions, and they give the ball back to Charlotte, who has had a nice balanced offense so far, and they've looked quite impressive. Now it's Bird, out to the outside. He is flying down the field to the 35 of Florida State, and that is another chunk play and puts Charlotte in a great position to add on more. Snap to Jones, and he finds his man Jack Hystera, who's been all over the field, another 13 yards, and all he does is get first downs. And Charlotte really putting some pressure on Florida State as they seem a little tight with how this game has started so far. Fakes the handoff, and Jones is running into some traffic, doesn't find a nice lane for himself, and only gets 2 yards and takes a pretty nasty hit. But after that play, it will bring us to a 3-0 Charlotte lead after the first quarter, and Florida State has to be a little shaken up by that. They had a rough start against Boston College, but a lot of it was turnovers. This time it's been just how the execution has been on both sides, and now Charlotte's still looking to extend this lead. They find Bird out of the backfield, and he's able to work his way near the first down marker, but it'll be 3rd and 2. Short yardage for Charlotte, who has been really good about staying in the positive on offense. Fakes a handoff, and Jones finds those 3 yards, and they will have a 1st and 10. This offense is in a really nice groove, and I'm really liking what I'm seeing from the Charlotte offense so far. Fakes the handoff in the backfield, and Fabian Lovett does not let Jones hold on the ball for long as he brings him down, and that'll be a loss of 6 yards, and now Jones is being attended to on the field, and that did not look good, and the backup, Micah Bowens, is having to come on the field now for a 2-back look on 2nd and 16. Let's see what the Charlotte offense can do and what they can muster. Bowens finds Kelman out of the backfield, a nice safe throw to get things started, and that's 2 yards, but a 3rd and 14 is what Charlotte is going to face with their backup quarterback now. And the Charlotte offensive line giving good protection, and Bowens just throws an uncompetitive ball, but that will lead to a Charlotte field goal that puts them up 6-0 with 7.5 minutes left in the half. Florida State is going to have to muster up some kind of response despite how the weather is today. They are not going to be able to run the offense the way they have so far. Jordan Travis looks out of sync and has had no rhythm in this rain. You would expect for them to stay on the ground for a little bit here to get some momentum back, and this is what they do to start the drive with Rodney Hill in 4 yards. And we just got word that the quarterback, Jones, will be out for a few weeks and obviously not coming back in today's game. Benson for a yard, and now it brings up another 3rd down, 3rd and 4. Florida State in this offense looking for some answers, and they go back to Benson for 6 yards, and you have to think that's where they're going to stay for a lot of this. And another ugly throw from Travis that almost gets picked off, and it's 2nd and 10. And another throw that is just not competitive and nowhere near his receivers, and you have to think the elements are playing some factor today. Travis on the drop back, scrambles out of the pocket to the left, and he does not have a ton of room. And that is a 4th and 4 for Florida State and an eventual punt back to Charlotte, now headed in the offense with Micah Bowens. He'll hand off to Kelman, and Kelman will find 4 yards on that carry to start the drive. 2nd and 6 handoff to Bird, and he will have 3 yards, 3 yards, and that'll be a 3rd and 4 in a manageable spot for Charlotte in their offense. Bowens has some time, He hits Clemens out in the flats, and he'll get 7 yards, and that'll be a first down for Charlotte, already up 6-0 and trying to extend this out to a 2-score lead before halftime. Handoff to Bird, and the Florida State defense surrounds him on that one, and it brings up a 2nd and 12 for the offense in the pistol. This snap to Bowens, he's able to hit Clemens, and Clemens will get 7 yards and make this a more manageable third down. We're looking at 3rd and 5 at this point. Charlotte has been 3 of 6 on third down, fairly efficient, and working pretty easily against the Florida State defense. But this time a misfired throw will lead to a punt, and Florida State has the ball back, really needing something to come out of this drive. Handoff to Benson, and Benson finds 3 yards. Snap to Travis. He's going to roll out again. Doesn't seem to have any faith in his arm again after that ball hits the ground. That's 8 straight incompletions for Florida State at this point, and it is getting really ugly in this rain. They need something good to happen to make them feel like they have some confidence here. Another rollout for Travis. He hits Jaheim Bell, but Jaheim Bell isn't able to turn up the field, and it's a 4th and 2, and they are going to punt, and that is a 3 for 11 start for Jordan Travis. And that is clearly not what the game plan ordered, and now with 3 minutes to go, Charlotte in another position to maybe go up 2 scores. And you have to feel like Charlotte is the team that has to feel a little pressure. You are the underdog, but you got to get up by 2 scores while Florida State is floundering a little bit here. That outside handoff will give Bird 8 yards, and they're in a 2nd and 2 position now from the pistol. Snap to Bowens, and he is trying to get his man Clemens, but that ball is knocked away by Shaheem Brown, who makes a really nice play on the ball, and will at least force a 3rd and 2 and hopefully get Charlotte off the field and give Florida State another chance. Handoff to Bird, and he is stopped before he can really get going, and that was Jerrion Jones getting in there, as he's already got 5 tackles and 1 for loss. And now we have a Charlotte punt with 2:25 to go. And this will probably be Florida State's last chance with the ball before halftime. They're going to want to make something of it. Winston Wright going to go catch this ball near the sidelines, works his way a little towards the middle of the field, then cuts back and finds 14 extra yards with 2:12 to go. Handoff to Toafili, makes a cut and gets upfield, and that will be 11 yards and a 1st and 10 near the 40. Handoff to Benson. He finds a lane, and now the best runs of the day for Florida State are starting to come. That's 12 for Benson, chipping away slowly but surely at this Charlotte defense. Another run up the middle as they are just parting the seas at this point. That's another 10 yards. 3 straight runs for first downs at this point for Florida State. Fakes the handoff. Travis just runs into traffic. He is brought down, and that will be a loss of 6 yards and a sack for Doug Newsome, who runs down one of the more elusive quarterbacks in the league. Later on in the drive, 1st and 10 in the red zone. Travis scrambles out to the left again, and he's brought down again, and that'll be a 2nd and 16 that Florida State is going to face after a Wayne Jones sack. So Florida State in a big spot now. 5 wide, Travis scrambling out to the right, looking for some room, and he will actually find some yardage to bring up a 3rd and 10 with only 13 seconds to go. Time is ticking for this Florida State offense. Fires to the corner near the end zone, and that is Winston Wright, who had a nice punt return to set up the drive, and he's able to get some separation from his man on a situation where Jordan Travis was not throwing the ball well. He is able to find his man Winston Wright in the corner of the end zone, and that will give Florida State a 7-6 lead, as Charlotte's going to have one more chance before halftime to see if they can have some kind of miracle happen. This isn't even near a Charlotte offensive player, but it falls in the arms of Fentrell Cypress, who will take an easy interception, and Florida State goes into halftime now up 7-6. You have to be disappointed in only mustering 7 points, but as we go into this 3rd quarter, Florida State's going to need to find a little more dynamic offense, and they're going to start with a screen pass to Coleman, who didn't have a role in the offense in the first half, and he only gets 1 yard for a 2nd and 9 there. Now, Travis on the shotgun snap, he hands off to Benson, and he goes straight up the middle for 9 yards, and that's where a lot of the offense has been for them. Their bread is being buttered with those inside runs, and they need to kind of stay to that look if they want something consistent. This time he finds Portier, who gets the inside of his defender, and that's 33 yards through the air, and the Florida State passing offense seems to be getting a little more comfortable and a little more dynamic. Travis escapes, gets out to his left, and he is able to get near first down yardage, but still 2 yards short. Run up the middle for Benson, and he will not get to the first down marker. It's going to be 3rd and inches for the big back. They're going to bring a heavy personnel in, hands it off to Benson, and he is able to easily get those yards and gets about 6 on that run. 7 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. Travis looking, got 2 men out to his left. He's going to roll out to that left-hand side, and there's nobody there, and he will just take that easy yardage and gets out of bounds, but takes a hit. That was a pretty nasty one, but Travis hops right back up, and it's 1st and 10 in the red zone. Fires and finds Johnny Wilson, and he will take 11 yards and a 1st down inside the 1-yard line for his first catch of the day, right at the 1-yard line. Pistol look, just going to give the easy handoff to Lawrence Toafili. And the inside of the offensive line has truly dominated Charlotte there. And there are plenty of openings if Florida State wants it, but maybe at this point Florida State is just trying to practice in their passing game because they know that's what they're going to need in SEC play, and just running the ball at the middle on Charlotte isn't going to do them a lot of good in terms of figuring out what's going to work later in the season. Charlotte with the ball back now, down 14-6, handoff to Bird, and he'll get 5 yards on a nice run, and that'll bring up a 2nd and 5 and keep their offense on schedule at this point. Bowens looks, and he finds Jack Clemens, and Clemens will have 1st down yardage. And I've been really impressed with how the Charlotte offense has operated in these sloppy conditions. They've looked like the more polished team despite being down right now. And they will find Ike White on that reception, and that'll be 11 yards, and he has 2 catches for 31 yards at this point. 1st and 10 from the pistol, handoff to Bird, and he is swallowed up. And there have been quite a few negative runs that have started to come in this offense now. And you got to think that maybe Charlotte is wearing down after a really nice start to this game and probably regrets not taking advantage more. Another negative run for Bird brings up a 3rd and 11. Bowens gets the ball out pretty quick to Walters, and he is brought down immediately by Jerry and Jones, and that brings up a 4th and 6. And Charlotte gives the ball back to Florida State, who now probably feels like their offense is rolling a little bit. Handoff to Benson, shakes off a couple of tacklers, still working to the outside. He's got a lot of room. He's over the 50, and he will get close to about the 42-yard line after that 31-yard rush. It doesn't take a genius to know in these kind of conditions it's a lot easier to run the ball, and Florida State has the guys to block for their big running back like Benson, and I'd expect to see more of that. Travis on that throw easily could have been picked off. He did not get it over his head enough, but it'll fall harmlessly to the ground for a 2nd and 10. Play action look, squeezes that between 2 defenders, and Destin Hill will have nearly 10 yards, and that'll bring up 3rd and inches. Handoff to Toafili. He finds a lot of room in the middle, and he will dash his way up the middle of the field for 15 yards. 1st and 10 in the red zone for Florida State. Another play action look. Travis doesn't have what he wants to see, and he is able to scurry his way through the Charlotte defense for about 12 yards, near the 5-yard line, and 1st and goal for the Florida State offense now. Man in motion. Travis looks, finds Johnny Wilson cutting over the middle of the field for 4 yards, but he does not get into the end zone, and it's a 2nd and goal. We'll see if Florida State's able to power their way through. Fakes the handoff to Benson. Travis runs his way to the outside, got no one there, into the end zone from 2 yards out, and Jordan Travis had to show a little bit of everything on that drive and deservedly gets a rushing score to put Florida State up 21-6. Charlotte back with the ball, Jack Hystera in motion. Bowens on the drop back, feeling some pressure, but finds his safety blanket in Hystera for 6 yards. And now with 2 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter, Charlotte gonna need some offensive momentum to come back. This 3rd quarter has not been their best showing at this point. Bowens finds nothing, scrambles out, is able to get some real running room, and he will go down at the 30-yard line after a 14-yard rush. Minute and 45 left for Charlotte in the 3rd quarter. Fakes the handoff, and Bowens has plenty of room again on this read option. So Florida State showed a lot of that look a little bit with Jordan Travis, and now Micah Bowens giving it right back to the Florida State defense. And they're going to need to be able to stop that if they want to curtail what Charlotte's doing on offense at this point. Shotgun snap to Bowens. He's looking again, trying to scan, and he is brought down, holds the ball for far too long, and that is the true freshman, Blake Nicholson, who plays linebacker, but in occasional packages lines up on the edge, and they use some of that youthful athleticism to be able to beat the tackle, and Nicholson gets to the quarterback and brings down Micah Bowens and forces a 2nd and 17 now. Florida State doesn't bring a lot on the rush, leaving some guys in the flats, but Shadrick Bird just runs out of bounds and loses 5 yards, so now it's a 3rd and 22. Big opportunity for Florida State to get off the field again, and Fabian Lovett just works his way through the inside lineman and gets his hands on Bowens and brings him down. And the notorious guy who was great at being able to stop the run has had some nice games of pass rushing, and now Florida State going to get the ball back 21-6. real opportunity to strike a death blow to Charlotte's chances if they can go down the field and get a score after this one. Winston Wright receives the punt, and he's able to get the ball over the 50-yard line, and that's where they're going to start this drive. Travis, looking back, firing down the middle of the field, and the Charlotte defender is able to work his way on the inside. That's Doug Newsome. He'll get a deflection on that one and keep Florida State from a big play through the air. 2nd and 10. The snap goes to Travis, hands off to Hill. No, Travis keeps this one, so they're going to feed the read option back to Charlotte as both teams are utilizing that in the quarterback run game. And that will bring us to the 4th quarter in a 21-6 game where Florida State seems to be taking control of this one now after a real sloppy start in the first half. That 3rd quarter saw just a couple of scoring drives and definitely some better vibes for Florida State. On 3rd and 2, they run it up the middle with Lawrence Toafili, and there's 4 yards of easy offense, and Toafili's had a nice game so far with that stat line. Now Travis making a couple adjustments, seeing if he can get one more scoring drive and make the Florida State fans feel a little more confident. Snap to Travis, he rolls out to the left, doesn't have a lot, but will dump it to Rodney Hill, and Rodney Hill will be able to get some positive yardage in 3 yards. And again, like we talk about, keeping the offense on schedule, 2nd and 7. Able to find Johnny Wilson, who reaches up with his big old paws and gets that one with just one of those paws, and a one-handed grab that he brings down just seamlessly, running over the middle of the field, uncontested. A 6'7", 235-pound receiver should not be that seamless, and just throwing up a hand and bringing that one in, and that will be a nice reception that puts Florida State within 10 yards of a 2-score lead. Travis looks and finds Wilson on the next pass, rewards them on a spectacular catch with a 10-yard touchdown reception, and it's a 28-6 lead for Florida State. And Charlotte, looking at their chances of an upset, really looking bleak now. Finds Ike White with that first play of the drive for 7 yards. Another shotgun look with one man in the backfield next to Bowens. Bowens scanning and just throws a ball totally out of nowhere, quite frankly, and that's going to bring up a 3rd and 3. Handoff goes to Bird, and Bird will find 7 yards, and they really can't afford to run the ball much with how much that's going to take off the clock. You're down 28-6 and 7 minutes to go. With how hard you've played, you know Charlotte wants to keep on pressing and seeing if they can keep making this a game. Nice easy pass to Clemens, who is able to drive the defender a little further upfield and get some extra yardage, and that's 5 catches for Clemens and 5 yards on the catch. Bowens now gets hit hard there, just driven down with authority and loses 7 yards. That was Kalen DeLoach, a linebacker who has had an amazing game so far and has been all over the place. Just flies up the middle of the field and jars that ball loose, but it'll be a 3rd and 15. And this pass to White will cut that deficit in half, but bring up a 4th and 7. Charlotte needs this if they want to keep their hopes alive. If they don't get this conversion, it's going to be it for Charlotte. Man in motion for them now. Bowens scanning and finds White, who makes a nice catch with some Florida State defenders around him. And Bowens throws that into traffic, but gets the conversion for him. Bowens scanning and throws this one completely out of bounds, and it'll be a 2nd and 10, as Bowens has had a decent game, but just has not been the force that can lead this team to an upset victory, it looks like at this point. Bowens throw to the outside, finds Hystera, 11 yards and a 1st down for Charlotte. Bird runs up the middle, and he finds a Florida State defensive tackle and only a 1-yard gain. 2nd and 9, under 5 minutes to go. Still needing a touchdown to kind of keep a pulse alive. Bowens drops back, feels some pressure, but delivers a nice ball to Bryce Kennan in 9 yards, and it's a 3rd and inches, and you know they're in 4-down territory, so they'll have a couple of plays, but a false start brings up a 3rd and 5 now for the Charlotte offense. Shotgun snap to Bowens. He's got some time, finds Hystera, and Charlotte will be able to cut this lead to 28-14 after a 2-point conversion, and now they're going to need a stop. Kickoff to Winston Wright, who will catch this ball at about the 4-yard line. He's going right up the middle, has not been touched yet. He grooves his way to the outside. He's at the 50, the 40, the 30, the 20, the 10, 5. Touchdown, Winston Wright. And he puts the dagger in the Charlotte heart. They are up 35-14 now. That will assure Florida State of a victory now. They can breathe a little bit easier. 4 minutes to go. Just an absolute much-needed play. The special teams comes up huge, and Winston Wright has a big moment in this season. Charlotte with the ball back, down 3 scores again after you work your way down the field and use up about 3 minutes to not be any closer. It's gotta hurt. They'll start this drive with a pass to Hystera as usual, and he'll pick up the needed yards for a first down. 1st and 10 for Bowens, drops back, doesn't have anything, and Gilbert Edmond gets his hands on him and brings him down for a loss of 4 yards, and that's a nice play for him to bring up a 2nd and 14, and Charlotte is scrambling with under 4 minutes to go. Pass off to Kennan, and Kennan only gets 8 yards, and we're bringing up a 3rd down. They've brought up a lot more 3rd and 4th downs from the Florida State defense and made this more difficult on Charlotte in the second half. Bowens drops back and finds his man, Hystera, who else, as he dashes down to the 15-yard line, and that's 44 yards of offense for him, and they're hurrying it up quick. Bowens now throws it through the back of the end zone with 3:09 to play, looking for another really quick score to hopefully keep a pulse alive, but it's not looking good. Bowens scrambles up the middle. He finds a Florida State defender and really powers through him, though, for 11 yards and brings up a 1st and goal. Under center snap, tries to get the ball away, but the Florida State defender just creams him through the middle of the field, and that'll bring up a 2nd and goal. Handoff to Bird, works his way to the outside and does not get the needed yardage for a touchdown. That play would be reviewed, though, and they would say he got in the end zone, giving Charlotte a 35-21 cut into the deficit, but after an onside kick, Florida State got the ball back, and a not-so-great pass as Jordan Travis got hit in the motion, and it's a 2nd and 10. Florida State just really needs to run clock. Don't know what they're doing throwing the ball, but this time he finds Keon Coleman for about 13 yards as they continue to throw the ball up 2 scores, which seems like a very odd move, but, you know, maybe still trying to refine the offense as they head into the tough stretch of their season. Handoff to Rodney Hill. Not able to find a lot of room there, but enough for 4 yards and 2nd and 6. 2:12 to go. Under center for Travis, and he looks like his feet are all caught up, and he just flings the ball into the ground and probably just wants a redo for altogether there. 3rd and 6, roll out for Travis. He has some room, and he's brought down from behind as he loses 1 yard on a technical sack, and that's 4th and 6 for the Florida State offense, and they would eventually just put up the field goal to go up 38-21, minute 56 to go. Micah Bowens finding Shadrick Bird. He'll have 5 yards through the air, who has had a really nice game, 2nd and 5. Snap to Bowens. And this one isn't even near his receiver, as it'll bring up a 3rd and 5 for the Charlotte offense now. Shotgun snap to Bowens. He tries to find his man out in the flat, but it's knocked away from him by Shaheem Brown, who's had an awesome game. And now it's 4th in the ball game for the Charlotte offense that has put on a very admirable performance. Looking, and this one is too far out in the flat, not accurate enough for Micah Bowens, and that will lead to a Florida State victory, kind of on the back of Winston Wright, who had a really nice game, all-purpose wise, punt return, kick return, receiving, and despite it being a win, it kind of still has to leave you with a lot of questions for Florida State. The offense did look good for stretches, but that entire first half was not impressive at all. It had to leave you feeling like this offense kind of has moments where it can turn it on, but there are some moments too where it can look really ugly. Some of that can be due to the conditions, but there still has got to be a lot of fear that this team may not be as good as they think that they are. They are ranked as a top 10 team in the nation, but they're about to face a schedule that is going to make them prove it. Are you one of those national contender teams, or are you merely a team that's going to be decent in conference? When we look at the stats, Travis had a okay game. He had a good yards per attempt and a yards per completion, but 4 sacks, which is definitely a new thing, the most sacks we've given up today, and not his best look. And then on the ground, it was there, but I just did not feel like that was accomplishing a lot for what I wanted to know about this team going into our SEC stretch. Yes, we can run the ball up the middle relentlessly. Charlotte didn't have the guys to defend against that, but continuing to do that would not have been productive for us. And then receiving-wise, we weren't efficient enough on offense in the first half to give our guys opportunities, plain and simple. It's a pedestrian day for pretty much everybody. That's about a normal game for Winston Wright. Everybody else, they need to be involved more. Johnny Wilson, every time I went to him, he was there, and I could get that, but again, I wanted to see more, and it's not a good look going into this back half of the season. And whether we like it or not, the schedule is going to heat up. I mentioned it a lot in today's episode, but that's really what we need to focus on. We have a road trip to South Carolina and Clemson back-to-back after our bye week next week, and it's going to really test us. And I'm not sure if we're prepared for that. There has been a lot of times that I've seen some of these slow starts really derail us, and against those teams, we may not be able to muster a 7-6 lead at halftime. We might be down by 2 scores, and the pressure is really going to be on. I think the upside of this team is still here, but I think that the floor that this team has could end up being our downfall. And I'm not trying to be too much of a doomsdayer about this, but that's kind of where this team is, and I think after watching these games, you would feel the same way too about this. So let me know in the comments if you feel a little more positive about our opportunities and how this could go in the back part of the season as we hit this rough SEC stretch. But I do appreciate everybody tuning in and watching. In the next couple of videos on the channel are going to be weekly recap videos since we have a bye week after this. Then we get to the part of the season where we will find out just how good this team is. And as always, go Noles.